is Wild Wrestling, so
You a dumb, me tell you.
you a moron, I's right.
Just shut the funk up, baby, and let's have some fun.
Bienvenidos a Dios hace cosas hermosas, reparto, el luchador grasa Lucas Walker. Además, el hombre peludo de Folk Punk Master V. Las mujeres tienen relaciones sexuales, debido a la realización que viene de estos cerebros.
Who's ready for some bestiality?
Me.
Oh, the bestiality is over, man. Vito loves it. Did you see it on his show?
No, I don't. If I'm not involved, I don't listen to anything else but me.
Oh, no, you're involved. I mean, they played the clip. I mean, Vito just loves bestiality.
Well, you know, that's the next thing the Democrats are going to push through is all the bestiality marriages.
Yep, slippery slope, you know.
The
We're going to be able to
slippery
marry.
slope. It's very
Gonna be able
insulting to the gays, I guess, to say that. But, you know, next will be man on pumpkin sex. And then after that, it's...
What I'm going to do is I'm pushing for the polygamy there so I can marry two girls so both of them can turn me down for sex all the time.
I'd love polygamy, actually, because, you know, me and my wife work, and if we had a couple other wives, they could work, and we could just all make 100% cuts of the money that we make. And
Dude, that's communist. You're a communist.
I actually was talking to somebody from Uzbekistan or something yesterday about communism and how it actually Christians started communism, and it's actually a great idea if you're in a little village, but you can't run a country as big as the Soviet Union.
I've always said that communism is actually a perfect system of communal life, except for the greed of human beings.
Yeah.
You know, because you always got to have one guy that's the dictator, and then his people, and they get more money than everybody else, and well, there goes communism.
Have you ever read Animal Farm?
Was that the bestiality book?
There was a lot in it, and then George Orwell, after he published it, he deleted most of the bestiality out of Animal Farm.
Oh, yeah, that's where he went wrong.
But the quote, all animals are created equal, but some are more equal than others. That's communism. So,
yeah.
But,
so,
okay, go.
We've had, a good feedback from the last podcast. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of people, you know, We Love Bestiality is trending worldwide.
Well,
according to my WWE.com numbers.
The thing about that last episode was it was so slapdash and so thrown together. It was like thrown into a pot, mixed 3 times, and thrown down the steps. I mean, it was disjointed, blah, 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 but people loved it. I mean, the Roddy Piper toilet Sarlacc story was probably the most unique story you're going to hear out of a podcast. And then we had the bestiality story, which if you're interested, it's on YouTube, episode 12. If it's on onegimmickworld.com, I think it's episode 5. You can read the liner notes if you go to onegimmickworld.com. And on the offshoots, it's episode 12 too. But what was the other story? We had another great story.
Well, we had the story of the Nightwalker, which
the
I mean,
Nightwalker.
To me, that was the gold. That was the platinum. That was where we shone like. But I mean, I think everybody's too spent from the bestiality.
Well, Big Dog down in Mexico driving back to Texas after his match. He said he about crashed into a cow down in Mexico City or something driving back or wherever the hell he was.
Not a really good way to talk about illegal aliens.
Good point.
Yeah,
but
you know, I said I think everybody's into bestiality now, and bestiality is taking over the America.
From our podcast, we had about 2,000 listeners a show. Did it spread like wildfire?
Yes, it's like wildfire. Now we've got 2,004 listeners that are totally in love with bestiality.
Yeah, great. Well, that was a great story. That was a great story. I got another good one. I don't know if you want to start off with that, but
of course I do.
Okay,
because this is one that you started telling me, and I was like, no,
Well, you did that with bestiality. The day that we did that podcast, and I did the story about that that wrestler that started screaming out, "Who's ready for bestiality?" You just said stop and give it to me in the podcast. This is probably one of my favorite stories. If we're going to do another Funkmaster V bedtime story, that a worker told me about a real situation. It's probably not as funny on a universal scale, but it's probably, if you're a wrestler, or if you're on the inside of the business, it is funny on the inside.
Especially if you're a shitty little indie wrestler like we are.
Oh yeah. Well, you're not so little. You're big shitty.
Shitty big indie wrestler.
So there was the guy that inspired me to wrestle locally. You know, we were talking about the other day, Mark Green, who's the announcer for Severe Attitude Wrestling and Great American Wrestling. He said he saw me and Cadillac Cowboy do a match where I had the bass guitar and I was about to pop him in the head, and I used nefarious Eddie Guerrero type means to win that match. And he said that hooked me. I wanted to be a part.
Well, I know you've always told me that your biggest influence to get in the wrestling business is Terry Landell.
It is. God love his heart.
You would like nothing more than to go to a legitimate show and run a show out of the back of a van across the street from it.
In an abandoned car lot or auto parts facility, and I want my blood pumping through my veins. I want it to be about 60% bacon grease and sausage and gravy. Anyway, not Terry Landell, but the guy that kind of inspired me was this character named Buggy Boy. Did I ever tell you about that?
You told me some Buggy Boy stories.
Okay, well, Buggy Boy was a guy who wore a mask that was a smiley face, and he was a very large man. And his gimmick was that he used to talk to shopping carts. And it sounds stupid, and it was, but he would bring a shopping cart out and yada, 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 and it was, to me, it was gold, because he would, the heel would get out of the ring because he was a baby, and then the heel would get out of the ring and start abusing the shopping cart, and he would be selling in the ring and screaming, "Oh no!" Like the shopping cart was his child or something. It was dumb as hell. And he had the Walmart greeter kind of thing, but I saw it and I loved it. In fact, the first match I ever saw him do was at Tommy Henry's Kinfolk Wrestling out in Sevier County. And Buggy Boy pinned the guy trying to give him CPR. He was doing the heart compressions, pinned him 1, 2, 3, and then when he started doing the mouth-to-mouth, the guy was like, "Get the hell off me." So anyway, funny guy. But he was this guy that played the Buggy Boy. The Buggy Boy was not really his name or his identity. There was a man underneath that, and for the sake of his kayfabeness, even though he's not wrestling anymore, I won't say who it is, but the gentleman that played him used to be a jobber or enhancement talent, I guess we'll say, for NWA, WCW, and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, he told me somebody was talking about the Steiner brothers, and if you are familiar with the Steiner brothers, you do realize that those guys are stiff as hell. And Scott Steiner has always been a little crazy, and Rick is a nice guy, but he can get crazy, and they're very protective of the sport. And have you ever had any run-ins with the Steiners?
I met Rick a few times. I've never had the chance to run into Scott. Which is weird because everybody else runs into Scott, nobody runs into Rick.
What'd you think of Rick?
I thought he was actually a pretty intelligent guy. People forget that he wrestled in college, which means he went to college.
Yeah,
so,
well, it was a gimmick that he was, the dog man or something. But, well, so when you would work for the shows, a lot of guys don't realize this now too, but like, the big guys, if it was on television, never got paid or rarely got paid because TV was to help them draw money at the house shows. And if they drew good at the house shows, they got paid better.
Right.
The enhancement talent was paid a certain amount of money to go up and just make them guys look good.
Yes, I should have kept the $300 ticket or $300 check I got from Vince McMahon. That was pretty cool, but I mean, I cashed it because I needed $300.
Needed the money.
Yeah. And the buffet was worth it.
I've heard good things about that buffet. So you would like, okay, let's say you drive, you're contacted to show up, and you don't really know what you're doing, and you show up as the enhancement talent, and they tell you, like a lot of the indie guys see on this big board, or somebody comes up, the road agent comes up and tells you this, and this. This is what's happening. Most of the time, your tag team partner was somebody you've never even talked to or seen before.
Right.
So you're on television, you're presented like you guys are, beer drinking buddies at Wrestling Northern Alabama, and you've got your shot, in New York to go. You've never even known this guy before. So GT, we'll call him, who's the Buggy Boy guy, he shows up, and they're like, you guys are in a match tonight with the Steiners. And he was like, oh, man, okay. He's pro about it, but, it's not a night off, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
And he's there with this guy he's never seen before. And that's his tag team partner. And they're talking, and then Scott and Rick come into the locker room. And they're like, oh, hey, they shake hands, everything. And Rick or Scott, either one, said, hey, guys, we've been beat up and we've been wrestling a lot lately. He goes, we want a really, really light night. We'd like to kind of have a night off. And GT's like, hell yeah, man, that's awesome. Thank God. And he goes, if you guys just listen, we'll get through it. We'll have a good match. Just we'll have it nice and easy. Nicey nice. Well, the jabron that's GT's tag partner goes, oh, well, if you guys don't really want to do anything, he goes, I got some ideas.
Ah, there you go. There's where you get your shit kicked. God damn.
It's like this is Scott Steiner.
That is AJ Gann level fucking shit right there.
Oh, my God.
I know you're Scott Steiner, but I need to get my shit in.
Exactly. And GT's sitting there with these gigantic eyeballs looking at him like, what are you saying? And this guy goes, man, I can throw a Steiner line really good. My friends say I do a really good Steiner line. And one of the Steiners goes, oh, really? Really? Yeah. Awesome. He goes, I can do a Frankensteiner too. I've been working on that. I go, oh, man, that sounds cool, man. Awesome. Well, we may let you do that, And he goes, oh, man, that'd be great, And I could do this move and this move. And they just kind of patted him on the shoulder and said, man, that's cool, man. Great. We're going to have a good time tonight. So they turn around and leave. GT goes, what in the hell did you just do? And he goes, what? He goes, you just disrespected the Steiner brothers, man. And he goes, those guys don't play around. They're rough dudes. He goes, oh, they're cool, man. Did you see them? When I told them I could do the Steiner line and all this, they were cool with that stuff. And he goes, God, man, shit, dude, we're going to get killed.
I'm wincing here. This is going to be awful.
You can't even imagine. So they get called out, and they're standing in the ring, and it's the match time. And the crowd's booing both of them, and then all of a sudden the music hits.
Probably Welcome to the Jungle back then, right?
I don't remember, but I mean, it was something, blood pumping.
Yes.
And GT looks up at the entrance, and he sees, lo and behold, Scott Steiner and Rick Steiner, and they look like they're at WrestleMania. They're both kind of bouncing back and forth. They wanted a nice, easy match. And then all of a sudden,
this asshole.
They ran full speed, Ultimate Warrior-like towards the ring. And GT said, I felt my balls drop. Like I said, this is going to be rough. They slide in. The crowd goes crazy. Scott Steiner grabs GT, my friend, the Buggy Boy. He goes, if you're smart, you'll stay out of the ring. And he throws my friend GT over the top rope. And so GT just takes the bump and just acts like, bloop, he's just down.
Oh yeah, it killed him. That bump.
Yeah, he just hit his head on the concrete so hard he couldn't move. He's knocked out. The tape
would have no-sold it. Oh.
Yeah. So everybody in the front row, is agging on GT. Get up, go help your partner, get up. And GT's like, I ain't moving an inch. Well, GT did not see what happened, but he heard what happened. And it basically sounded like, oh, ow,
It sounded like AJ's brother spanking it in the bathroom at the flea market.
No. Ow, ow. And he said, and
Well, I get you to the van later.
GT says he's looking at the guy's eyes in the front row, and everybody has the face like if Jesus was real and he was coming through the clouds, and everybody's like, oh, it's over. You know, everybody had this face that just devoid of any smiling or fright or wrinkles, just as these pancake faces looking in, and he could hear this man, ow, oh God, ow, ow, ow. Has no idea what the hell's going on. And then all of a sudden, the crowd goes, and you know they're finished, right?
Yeah, was it the Steiner recliner, or was it? No, it wouldn't have been the Steiner recliner at this point. It would have probably been.
It was the Doomsday Device, maybe. The Road Warriors used to do it. Didn't they do that? They get one guy up on the shoulders, and the other guy comes off the top rope.
Something to that effect. I thought they did the Frankensteiner elbow thing.
Shit, now ruin the story. I think it's the thing where you lift a guy up, electric chair drop kind of move, and the guy comes off the top rope with the Steiner line. Well, basically, the crowd, 1, 2, 3, crowd goes crazy.
Oh man, it would have been a much better story if he'd have kicked out.
Story's not over yet. GT says he's still selling the over the top rope bump, and he feels something hit his foot, and he said he understood by what was happening that was a gurney, and they actually wheeled the guy, strapped him to the thing, and took him to the back. GT still doesn't know what exactly happened, how he landed on his head, or anything like that.
Right.
GT gets up whenever the coast was clear and gets to the back, and he doesn't even care about getting paid. He's throwing his shit in a bag. He's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Scott Steiner comes up with cash. Not a check, but cash. And he's thumbing through the cash. And he goes, hey, I can't find your partner anywhere. Here you go, buddy. And he throws that stack of cash on his chest. He goes, I'm sure it'll make its way to where it needs to go. And he turns around and leaves. And, GT's holding a big wad of hundreds. I can't remember if he got 600 or 1,000. It was double what he was supposed to.
Right.
And he just he just got the hell out. He never saw that guy again. He never heard from that guy again. He never saw him at another show. But apparently that might have been that Jabrone's last day in the sport of pro wrestling.
Oh, God, if we could all just do that to some people.
Well, Steiner's, it's just a different world, Like, I know there was a guy named Andrew McQueen, and he was just hard-headed.
Right.
Like, he knew everything, and he was a nice guy, but when it came to wrestling and you were like, well, you need to do this, he's like, well, no, I'm going to do it my way, blah, blah, blah. He was a guy that would wrestle, and he wrestled for this EWP, and one night I saw him wrestle.
Great name, EWP.
Yeah. He,
well, I thought probably wouldn't know that.
So, yes, it rolls off the tongue good. He, this guy, Andrew McQueen, was a referee because he's still trying to break in, and he's having a hard time because he doesn't listen to nobody.
Right.
Well, one of my favorite people is Billy Marshall.
Right.
And Billy Marshall was wrestling Ed Idol. Now, Ed Idol has gone out of the sport, and he was a smart guy. He had a lot of physical problems, but he was real thin, and he got thinner because he had some sort of problem, and I wish he and Bob O'Mac and Bobby Blassie were still around this area because those three guys for this area were tremendous. But Ed Idol was one of the best heels ever. But the point of the story is this. Billy is wrestling Ed in an opening match on one of those god-awful flea market shows.
Right. Well, of course.
And Andrew McQueen is refereeing. Well, if you're smart, I saw the Iggy for the match to go home.
Right.
From the back. Well, there was supposed to be some sort of elaborate finish, but Ed Idol came off the second rope with a cross body to pin Billy 1, 2, and Billy's still down, and Andrew McQueen doesn't it's not the finish, so he doesn't count 3. So he's just destroyed all the suspension of disbelief in the room.
Which happened to me at a show just a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely. Well,
Well, I
the
mean,
reverse.
no, it happened that way too at another show where the referee, it was the finish, and the referee didn't even 1-2 it, and then I just held the guy down. I was like, "Would you count to 3?"
God, these guys.
Gonna look great on TV.
So yeah. So I wonder why MMA is winning. So then Ed Idle puts Billy in the figure 4. Billy taps out. Guy's sitting there looking at him. Tap 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 tap. It's like freaking Morse code in the war or something. Tap 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 tap. This guy sucks. SOS. So he's tapping. So Billy looks at him. He leans his shoulders back and goes, count. The guy goes 1, 2. He stops again.
Oh.
So at that point, Billy leaves.
It's just I'm done.
He
Fuck
goes out of the ring, and he leaves. And Ed Idle is sitting there like, what am I doing with my life? If we realize why we lose good guys like Ed Idle, it's crap like this. You're talking about Vito Tomaselli says he gets out of wrestling. He likes our show because we talk about crappy wrestling. We lose good guys because of this stupid stuff.
Well, I was in a tag match in Penis, Tennessee, and it was supposed to be I'm trying to get the ref to go over for a hot tag, and I tag in, I go over to the ref, I grab him by the shirt, and I go, hot tag.
Yeah.
And I throw him into the other corner.
Yeah, you got to sometimes, and they're like, what does that mean? And then they check their shirt collar. Oh, is my collar?
Yeah.
Is my tag sticking out? So Andrew McQueen, Ed Idle leaves. Andrew McQueen still thinks he's probably in the right. Well, then all of a sudden, guess what? The Death Row inmates, and no offense to Brad Cash, but the original Death Row inmates, which was Jason Max and Willie B. Bad, they came in, kicked the guy in the penis, speaking of Penis, Tennessee, and just beat the shit out of him. And guess what? Andrew McQueen, never seen that kid again. So sometimes, I'm not a big fan of taking liberties with people, but man, sometimes people get in this sport, you wonder how in the heck they're somebody's friend, they sweet talk somebody, they played somebody's ego, they had some sort of favor that they were able to cash in on, and now they're in the sport, and you're just sitting around going, wow, this is crap.
Oh, what the fuck?
What happened?
Oh, I just got hit with your singlet from the Newport show. It must have got cut in the space-time continuum.
I thought it was in my teeth.
No,
just
in your shoes. But well, we've got some, I guess viewer hate mail went over from episode 11 pretty well. I think we could do it again. But you told me a funny little story about that video, the viewer hate mail video, which for the audio listeners has Funkmaster V playing the bass with his shorts on his head. And
yeah, that was shot when I used to do television in Knoxville for TXW before these local legends got a hold of it, and it's no longer around. I wonder what happened. Local legends. I used to do this show, and people used to get pretty good ratings, I guess. I don't know. I used to get identified around town, but it was on community access. I'm not going to pretend it was real television. It was like anybody. It's like anytime you see any of those weird people who are trying to teach you how to cook while they're exercising or something like that, or all those really bad religious. Can you imagine if you're so bad you can't get on a religious network that you have to resort to doing community access? I mean, that's the dregs. And most of the wrestling on that stuff was really bad, but we had a pretty good.
Most people just could not Jesus for the life of them.
No, they are not made of quality Jesus TV material. But one time, I was there, and one of the guys, he was a black man who was walking around, who was a minister. I was there turning in tapes, or I was shooting some sort of vignette or a bumper or something, and he was there dropping off something or doing something similar, because they have actually. The Knoxville Community Access thing is actually a pretty good TV studio, and the guys down there are super nice. But this guy, he came out of one of the studios, and he looked at me, and he had one of these puzzled looks like, what? And he looked at me and he goes, "Sir?" And I was like, "Yes." He goes, "Are you that man that wears his drawers on his head on TV?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "You funny as hell." The same, if you've ever seen that movie where the guys come out and they go, "You care if we dance with your dates?" That's the same voice.
Well, we do have some viewer hate mail.
Viewer hate mail.
This first one's going to be from my brother, Terry Walker.
Well, that doesn't count.
No, well, I mean, he's my brother. He's like, you know, in the Nightwalker story, he's you know, he's standing in front of the little brothers.
He's the king of the little brothers.
He's the king, but he's my big brother. So, but he's also, my brother looks. I mean, if any of you have ever met Mabel Viscera, my brother is identical twins with him in every aspect except for white. So, but he says that he goes, with only so many finishing, pinfall submissions and things like that, and things like that to end a wrestling match, how do you keep them fresh? Which, I mean, I said that's an excellent question, because it's like, you know, everybody has gone so much into this WWF formula. WWE, I'm sounding like a fucking elitist. But so many people have gone into this formula that it's you know, match, finisher, end.
Well, I mean, if you compare it to boxing or MMA or anything else, I mean, in those combat sports, you only have what? Decision, knockout, referee stoppage. I mean, in pro wrestling, you have a plethora. You have pinfalls, you have knockouts, you have submissions, you have countouts, you have draws, you have disqualifications, you have first blood, you have last man standing, and the list goes on and on, escaping a cage. There's more finishes that can happen in the sport of pro wrestling, but also I think it really doesn't matter the finishes as much as it does storylines. If people had interesting characters and people had a good Shakespeare, the finish of the match doesn't matter as much as what story's being told, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you about you. What I love that you've been doing this year is that you've been really, really, really telling stories to the point where your finishing move doesn't actually finish the match, but it does.
Right.
And I love that. I mean, I watch some of these matches where, you know, like, you know, a guy will even get his heat back, but you've done so much damage that he, you know, loses the match from a finishing move that you did 3 minutes ago.
Right. Well, my finish is a figure four. I've been working out my legs once a month too. That also helps.
You skipped leg week?
I skipped leg try week, and then on the fourth week I hit it.
Well, we got two questions from Jason Wydra, who's a guy that I grew up with.
Well, hold on. Is that?
Yeah, well, I'd like to also put over that my brother did a BOA promo where he put his fucking swimming trunks on his head. That was pretty funny. And he was naked. So.
Oh, well, good. Well, that's maybe not good, but you know, I think to just kind of do a more specific answer is if people did more Shakespeare, like, you know, Luke does a good job, and this thing that we're involved with Great American Wrestling, if we get these characters over, the finishes will almost be incidental to the story. And like I said, I've been telling Luke and you guys, you know, we talk all the time about how we don't really watch major wrestling, but I've been watching Lucha Underground the last couple weeks, and because I always turn it on to see if there's Kung Fu on the El Rey network, and if, you know, sometimes it's Lucha Underground. Used to, I'd be like, oh no, but it's been good. But man, it's the stories are so compelling, and some of these storylines are really pretty good that I've been like, hey, I don't, you know, who cares who wins or loses? I want to see what happens next in the story. And I think if you're doing television, that's the thing that matters most, instead of, you know, you go back, and it's also the way you lose. I think there's an art to it. John Cena just beat Kevin Steen, right, at one of the pay-per-views?
Yeah.
Okay. And Cena put him in his finish. Well, the way Steen tapped out, or Owens, I don't know what his real was.
Owens.
Okay. the way that Owens tapped
Steve
out,
now. What was it? No, yeah, it's Owens now.
the way that Owens tapped out, it was great. It's like he didn't have any energy. Did you see that? Or he was
No,
just
I-
kind of like his hand almost. His hand didn't even tap anything. It just kind of did the motion like he was about to pass out. I thought that was really cool. It's almost something you see in MMA, which they've stole so much from us. We can steal a couple things from them, but it was a neat way to go. There's different ways to do it. The only thing I don't like is when you see the Ring of Honor where everybody does all these insane, just death-defying moves, and everybody's landing on the neck and flying out of the ring, and then somebody gets pinned with a roll-up. It kills me.
Well, all right. This next question is from Jason Wider, who's a guy I used to make wooden dicks with in high school and Woods class, and we used to put him in our pants and walk around the hallways.
Boy, he's
Well-
never grown out of that, by the way.
No, he has not at all. But first questions to me. He asks, "Why am I so gay?" I would like to say because I'm married. No, I'm not gay. But I think I would make a hilarious gay man. Could you see me walking into a bar? Hey guys. But
Why would
and
you
this
have
what
to, why would you have to
I-
talk like that?
I don't know. I have to play into racial and economical and social stereotypes.
Okay.
And the next question goes to you is, why do you look like Jeff Lynne?
Is that the guy from ELO?
Yeah. And he was in the Traveling Wilburys.
He's got fantastic hair. So
He does.
I
Straight
don't.
up.
I would rather be called that guy than, when my hair gets long, people start saying I look like Mick Foley, which Mick Foley's a sweet man, but I think he's one of the most ugly men I've ever seen in my life. So that's when I know I need to get a haircut.
All right,
hair-
and
Okay, keep going.
all right, this has been a pretty subdued podcast for us. We've been kind of just talking, but this is actually a question that didn't come in through viewer mail or for the hate mail, but it came in through for Severe Attitude or for not for Great American Wrestling in the inbox, and it's come through quite a bit. Why don't you bring in enter name here? And I think this is going to be probably maybe this answer is probably going to give us a little bit of heat, but I really thought about this one because this is something we've talked about before. Why don't you bring in names? Why don't you bring in, NXT, former NXT guys, former TNA guys, and I'll take it first and I'll say because they don't draw shit unless you are Tony Gibbons and you can put them in a great storyline and you have the money to use because you're going to make the money back. Why would we pay somebody $2,000 to come do a one shot? Or why would anyone pay somebody, $1,500 or whatever to come do a one shot, get themselves over, and then walk away? And for what was good for that? Did it, how many fans did that bring in?
Well, the Great American Wrestling, I agree with that, but at Great American Wrestling, we're trying to do a television show.
Yeah.
So it'd almost be like, why didn't you bring in Bill Cosby on that episode of Seinfeld?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a cast, and I've done television before, and I've done wrestling television before, but this television, there's money, there's bigger stakes, there's a brass ring at the end of this, and then you start going, well, we're going to deal a whole lot less with our friends and guys that suck or guys that, we got to get guys on the TV that can hit home runs.
Yeah.
And you got to have guys that pop off the screen. Your buddy, Wrestler X, may be great. He may be a tremendous wrestler, but he may be god awful on television. It's a different world.
If he couldn't make it on TNA TV, why would he make it on ours?
And I agree with that. And I always think that if you bring in wrestling is like a ladder, and people are either going up or they're going down. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And if somebody's coming down, why would you want them on your show?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not bad, not saying that our guys are better than ex-TNA guys, but it's like it makes your league or your promotion or your television show makes it look bad.
Yeah.
It's like if I have a guy on a rebound and I know that he's been fired from WWE and he's been let go of, or the TNA is not calling him back, and he did Ring of Honor, and he's not on Ring of Honor anymore, and now he's at my place. I'm like, wow, this guy's like, I hate saying it. I wish the territory still existed where the guy could, go around the country and still make a living. But in my mind, as good as that guy is, I think it almost would make your show look bad. That's kind of how I see it.
And there's so many of these assholes. Like there's this little Daddy C or fucking character up in Jersey or that area that, I mean, a universally hated motherfucker. He runs a training school and he's never been trained. We got Donald Dixon down here doing that shit. We'll talk about him in a second. But he likes to use that, he brings in names and, goes into debt to bring in names so he can say he worked them. Yeah. And if that's why you're bringing a name just to say you worked a name, fuck you. And then, you give him shit and he's like, well, Marty Jannetty hung out with me and he called me on the phone and afterwards he let me go. He let me take him to the bar and where I could buy him all these beers. I was like, yeah.
These guys today, I was just sitting here thinking, I said, the sport is filled with these old timers who know what the sport is about. They know what wrestling is about. The new guys, there's no money in it. So to them, everything is mark generated. I want to be on TV. I want kids chanting my name. I want to have T-shirts with my name on it for some reason.
I want to touch a titty.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to do a hurricanrana and touch a titty.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to touch a boob, learn how to play guitar. Don't learn how to do a hurricanrana. But because the action is a lot better in that realm. But all of that to say, guys just in this sport, and it kills me, they just don't know what the work is. You know what I mean? I mean, they don't know they're getting worked. They don't know. The only people, and I've actually said this on social media before, I think the only people that gets worked are the workers anymore. That's the only people getting worked. Marty Jannetty, you hung out with him and you bought him $100 worth of beer. Well, you just got worked. You think you're his best friend? Does your best friend make you buy all his beers? Well, maybe so, if you're a goof. But these guys come in and they get these people. That's the problem. Is the people that have the money don't know how to run a show, and the people that know how to run a show don't have the money. And it's very rare when you find somebody that's got both. And these guys are just marks. They get sweet talked into things, and
well, it comes out better like when you got a guy that doesn't have a whole bunch of money, but he's got enough business sense to actually make money.
Yeah.
Where you can put it. I'm not going to mention who the owner of Great American is, but I mean that guy has he knows that he's got some shortcomings as far as who to trust, and he doesn't have a whole bunch of money, but I mean he's a creative guy and he's got a vision and he's got the means to, he's met some guys that are willing to help him succeed. Mm-hmm. Like Donald Dixon running a fucking wrestling school and puts on this is the guy we've ribbed on him before. He's the guy that spit all over himself in the promo. And he puts a picture up, all proud of it. It took him and his brother all afternoon to put this sign up, and it's white tape that says TCW. White tape. Took them all day to put that up.
On a glass door.
On a glass door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys, I'm actually almost impressed that you had the brain power to do that shit. Oh, wait a minute. It's a training school? It's a fucking training school. And I know a guy that went and worked that show, and he said that he went and worked the show for Donald Dixon there and said that not a single person on there was trained. I saw a picture of a guy having another guy in a surfboard, and the guy's feet are under the ropes. That's great ring placement, man. It's like these fucking jabronis that are just killing this fucking sport, and here we are trying to make it better and trying to give a platform and let people see. Here's what's gonna happen. we're going to make people want to go see indie wrestling again. They're going to be like, oh, man, we saw that on TV. We want to go see this. We're going to go, hey, there's a show called Taco W here in Seymour, and we should go see it. And then they go and see that shit. And then guess what? We just, it's just a punch in my damn balls, these assholes that run these stupid, shitty fucking promotions. I put a ton of work and effort and creativity, and I know, we put in, we lose money. I'm sorry, it's part of wrestling. We lose money to get this thing going, just so everybody can have a thing, and everybody wants to rip it down. And people want to go out of their ways to try to rip it down before it even happens, because they're fucking marks, and they're marks for themselves, and they're fucking in business for themselves, and they're fucking shitheads. And you got these Taco W people fucking putting on shit shows and training shit wrestlers that look like fucking they are rednecks. Why can't people just have a brain about themselves? Hey, you're 5'4", you're methed out of your fucking skull. You're not going to make it in wrestling. Be a manager. Don't even You know what? Buy a ticket. If you love wrestling, buy a ticket. How many bands have we played with over the years that you look at them and you go, why did you pick up a guitar? Why did you even consider that you could get booked on this show with me? People have asked me this, all right, viewer hate mail. Why don't you beat the shit out of some of these people in the rings? Because I don't take bookings at those shows. Why don't I go in the ring with Chris Pankow and stretch him out? Because I'm not going to be booked on a show with Chris Pankow. I got more respect than that. All right, I'm done.
That was pretty good. And that's the thing too. I guess we've made no bones about that. Me and you were involved creatively with Great American Wrestling.
Yeah.
And we have both in the past been very critical of Great American Wrestling. And when I first started talking to the guy that owns it, I was very surprised to have him go, that's exactly what I want to do, but everybody's in my way. Well, okay. I'm a realist, and I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's can. I've never, I'm not a huge name in pro wrestling. I've done stuff in other means and other avenues that has been pretty impressive or whatever, or has been financially advantageous for myself. But wrestling has been something that is a love of mine, and I felt like I've always tried to be entertaining. Well, yep. Now we have an opportunity to have this show be on Fox 43 with 500,000 homes that can watch it, and you've got people in the area trying to tear it down. I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. There's the capability. Let me put it to you this way: if the show sucks, which it might, because you got to shoot it, you got to edit it, you got to get talent, you got to get storylines that make sense. What sounds good to us may be awful for most people. It may be the worst TV show in the history of the earth. I don't know. Right. If it sucks, it's going to take care of itself. Because I'll tell you, when other people were involved with it, the local legends, the other promoters, it sucked. It was awful. It was shit. It smelled like shit. It tasted like shit. It looked like shit. It was awful. And I'm not saying anything against the boys. It's just, what can you do? You're out there as wrestlers. You're trying your best. You can't control the editing, the storytelling, the commentating, the graphics, how the audience looks, how it's shot, edited, whatever. And you don't have any control if you're a wrestler. This, I think we have a good team set up. Yep. Of course, I could be ignorant. I may not know. I may not have a clue. But I think there's a good opportunity for this to be actual good wrestling on television that puts stuff over and makes characters and makes things matter. Okay, we'll tear it down. But what is there to replace it? You've got all these shows, and none of them really matter. And why do they not matter? Is because there's not a record. If I wrestle at place X in front of 150 people, and we tear the house down, and the people are screaming, going, "Oh, we love wrestling," and hell yeah, and this is just like Whitey Caldwell and Ron Wright, and we've resurrected East Tennessee wrestling. The 150 people saw it.
Yep.
They're going to go out the next day, get drunk, and forget about it. Who was that? Flash Gordon versus The Thing? What was that? No, it was Funkmaster V. Grandmaster Flash versus, no, well, thanks. So this is the thing, this is the opportunity that we all have locally to be a part of something. And for you guys that are trying to tear it down, and you're fighting over a couple hundred people, keep in mind, you guys go after 100 people, 25 people, 12 people, try to manipulate them. I am trying to go after the 500,000 people that live in this metropolitan area.
Mm-hmm.
Go fight for them 24 people. I'm gonna try to make it big time, as big as it can be. And yeah,
Well,
it may not be anything, but at least I think it's a good shot for anybody locally. And especially, it's a good way to get good for television if you want to make it to the next level.
Well, I will say this, and I'll say it straight out, and this isn't going to get heat or anything, but I mean, it's just one of those things. Look, I think if you support Great American Wrestling or any wrestling, Smoky Mountain's on the network too. If you support that wrestling and you're cool about it, guess what? You're probably going to get looked at.
Mm-hmm.
If you were an indie worker and you're wondering why you're not booked on Great American Wrestling, did you go to the show? You're not going to get in the locker room, but hey, put your gear in the trunk and show up. You never know what could happen. Pay to get in, say hi to the boys, get to know people. Maybe somebody will think you're cool. Or if you want to come in and give it heat, oh, please do. Please do. If you want to come in because you declared war, oh yeah, come on in. I'll be happy to see you. We'll sit down next to you and we'll have a nice conversation. We'll laugh and yuck up and preach the gospel to the crowd together. But it's just like, why wouldn't you support it? Now I'll tell you why we didn't support it before, because it sucked. But even though what we were telling them is like, look, it sucks. We want to support this, but it sucks. You're putting guys from Louisville, from Ohio and Louisville on TV. You're putting guys on Hollywood from TV. You're using 2 local wrestlers. Nobody wants to see that. They want to see local guys they want people that then next weekend they can go see them in Penis, Tennessee.
Exactly. Well, the only time I ever watched it was when there was local guys on it, and then it got to a point to where it was just King Shane, and the only thing of course I never watched it very often, probably 2 to 3 times, if that, maybe only twice, but I was interested when King Shane was on. I know King Shane, I know Shane Williams.
I watched it a few times, and like I said, it was always usually weird matches from other places, and then there was one time I saw King Shane on there. It's like, all right, hey, finally, a local guy, King Shane,
Yeah.
And he was involved in a 6-man tag match with people from Ohio. I'm like, oh goddamn, I was like, can you just book us something that we can watch? And we're going to do that. And wait till you guys see it. I mean, I'm going to straight up say the first 3 TV shows were not our vision. We're not the vision of the creative team.
Yeah.
But we have some fingerprints on it. The owner and me and you and a couple of the other guys got in there and put our fingerprints on it and changed it around to make it actually entertaining. But it wasn't really our vision. There was just a locker room full of 500 people that they were like, all right, this match, this match, this match. Starting the next block of shows, you're going to start seeing some awesomeness. You're going to be trying to find how to get Fox 43 on your in Seattle.
Well, that's the hope, and I think there's some. I think there's a lot of good things in the works, and there's some people who are saying some pretty weird things, and I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, the thing that I'm excited about is that I can hopefully, after whatever happens, we can look back and go, wow, that was a pretty cool run, and we had some good television shows, and we entertained some people and made some fans and made kids want to be wrestlers, and that's what we want to do. But I mean,
and I want people to come out and we're in the infancy stages. We're trial and error. We're doing some things that are some are off the wall, some are straightforward, but we're going to make some mistakes and we're going to succeed in some things. But wouldn't it be great for you to be there on the ground floor? We got a show Friday. Be at the show Friday, 14th in Knoxville. at Fountainhead City Commons, and 8 o'clock. Be there for the show.
And
Be
that's
there
where
and watch
it's on Tazewell Pike. It was right where the Fountainhead Technology campus used to be, or ITT for you old Knoxvillians. And that's my old. I'm from North Knoxville. I've lived in North Knoxville longer than I've lived anywhere in my life. So that's my old stomping grounds, and that's going to be. It's not going to be as long as it was last time, which it wasn't too bad last time. Some people got online and said it was 5 hours. It was about 3,
Yeah.
3.5.
People were going to tear it down no matter what happened with it.
Sure.
But the show was great. Like I said, it wasn't the complete vision that the complete thing that we envisioned, but the show was great. I mean, anything with Menace involved in it, or Stephen Cadillac Burns, you're going to watch, or even with King Shane and Eric Andrews, and maybe me, but you're going to watch this stuff and be like, man, wow, yeah. But that was just basically the putting all the vegetables in the pot, and we hadn't even stirred it yet. We just turned the heat on.
Yeah, we're still trimming the fat on it, and I just think, I think the team that is putting it together, and everybody has some really good strengths, and I think it's going to be a fun television. And you can start watching it on the 29th on Fox 43, I think at noon on Saturdays, and I think they replay it a couple times.
I think it's noon on Sundays, too.
Man, you just, like I said, give it a shot. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be local. It's going to be made with love as opposed with hate. There's a lot of people around here, all they spitting hatred, vile. It's crazy. We're in the sport of pro wrestling. We're supposed to be entertaining people. Live and let live. I mean,
We're not fighting wars with other promotions. We are trying to get professional wrestling over.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can benefit from that if you just be cool about it.
Well, if that's like what Luke said, if they like us, oh boy, wrestling doesn't suck anymore. I'm going to check out Promotion X.
Make sure you don't suck.
Yeah, go out there and have a good time and do the sport justice, and don't book a bunch of jabrones, and have stuff that makes sense. And God Almighty, you too could have hundreds of people showing up paying you money to see you wrestle. But anyway,
you could break even before the door opens.
Whew, can you imagine making money? Well, all right, buddy, we're at about 55 minutes, and we've preached, I think, long enough on this great American stuff. I'm excited about it, I think.
I'm going to say this really quick. You notice how every single one of our shows since we started on One Gimmick World is drastically different?
I think all of our shows are drastically different.
Yeah.
We've had some that have had avant-garde humor.
Yeah.
Some have been...
Last week was like slapstick comedy. There's been anger. There's been sad. And this one is just all basically just like, information,
Yeah. This may be the worst or best one yet. I don't know.
It depends on what you like. Oh, hey, but before we go, we do want to do one thing real quick. We want to recap this week's Raw on WWE.
Yeah, we almost forgot. Let's do that real quick.
John Cena, Undertaker, Repo Man, Tatanka, Tino Santana, Bob Backlund, the Iron Sheik, the other guy, those guys.
In the world of World Wrestling Entertainment, Funkmaster V and Big Luke share their thoughts on the world of World Wrestling Entertainment.
All right, here we are. I'm Big Luke. That's Funkmaster V. Funkmaster V, did you watch Raw this week?
No, man, I don't watch that.
This concludes the world of World Wrestling Entertainment.
All right, man. Come out to the matches Friday night. You're going to see Luke with a really cool gimmick. We don't want to say what it is, but it's probably one of the most ingenious gimmicks I've ever seen. I'll be in wrestling action. I will be doing tons of interviews and storyline stuff behind the scenes, which is going to be shot for television. Excited about it, man. I'm just really excited, Luke. And since since the first time since I've been involved with TXW, when TXW was really going, and we had hundreds and hundreds of people, and before we had local legends involved. It was just really some fun. It was a family, and I'd like, this to kind of get to that point to where it's not just a show, it's something that's fun to go to, and then people will piggyback other people's ideas, and instead of just having an idea that's okay or no good, it can be built up to something that's tremendous, and you're like, oh man, what a great idea. That's what we used to do. We never were 100% great. Not every match at TXW was fantastic, but man, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of good memories. We had a lot of good angles. We made a lot of people happy, and that's exactly what I want to do. And this time, instead of being in front of a few hundred people and being on a television show in front of a few hundred people, this has the chance to be in front of thousands.
Tens and hundreds of thousands.
Dozens and tens of fives.
Of ones. Hey,
Yes.
but I also want to. I'm going to do this real quick. I don't have permission to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We've only really announced what the main event of the actual taping is. I'm going to announce one more match, and that is Funkmaster V versus Austin Knight.
I don't lose on TV, man. I don't job on TV, Austin. You need to bring your A game. And I know you're probably driving an ATV down from Jellicoe to wrestle. But I would
riding
take
a skateboard tied to the back of a pickup truck
with no bumper.
I'm telling you, those guys are. I mean, I love those guys. I know, we're wrestling them, but I mean, they're like the Dukes of Hazzard of East Tennessee.
They're nuts, man. But I mean, they better get their mind right, because when I'm coming in, and like I said with this whole broadcast, I'm serious about this show being good, and I'm serious about being a part of it. And if you lose too many matches, you're not going to be on the show. So I look at somebody like Austin, who's smaller than me. There's not too many guys smaller than me, and I'm gonna hurt him.
He's a little stronger than you, I think.
Well,
But
I can smell him all the way from Jellicoe.
But you're stronger. He's younger, or he's stronger and younger. But
He's
know
not
where
stronger
to.
than me. What the hell are you talking about? I slapped that
He
boy in the
lifts-
face.
He lifts weights.
I lift weight. I work out once a month. I told you that already, honey. I don't need the strength comes from the funk, man, and the funk comes from within inside, man. I will hurt that boy. I'm a grizzly old man, dude. I'm 40 years old. I'm from the streets.
I tried
Lift
my
weights.
dad about 15 years ago, just fucking around. We were in the swimming pool. I'm like, I'm gonna dunk the old man, and he was probably like 55 at the time. And I was like, I go up to him like, talking shit. I was like, I'm gonna get you finally, Dad. I'm gonna get. I'm underwater. Yeah,
Well,
you don't.
I mean, Austin Knight, I'm putting you underwater.
Good
that's
night,
all.
Austin Knight.
Good night, Irene. You be sitting there. I'll tell you what. To get back to Jellicoe, I'll tie you to that skateboard so you don't fall off, because I know you're not going to be able to stand after that figure four. You can just ride laying down on that skateboard, or tied to that old rusted out Chevrolet trunk from the 60s all the way back. And I hope you don't get pulled over and arrested for some sort of vile vehicular misconduct with that redneck Marty McFly maneuver there.
Well, and I got to tell you what, also, you want to come out, because I guarantee you I'm going to break somebody's penis.
Who wants to see that? See, all the kids that were listening. I don't even think did we really cuss on this episode?
You kids, fuck, shit, fuck, goddamn.
Oh, stop. See, now my parents don't like me anymore.
And now Mama Justice isn't going to listen to our podcast anymore.
What's going on with that karaoke stuff?
Nothing. I haven't heard from them. I think they chickened out. They realized that was the real deal.
1-0.
1-0. Real deal. Laid it down.
1-0. God
See you
makes
guys.
beautiful things. 1. Joey loves dick. 0.
Hey guys, this is Big Luke. Tune in on August 29th, Great American Wrestling on Fox Bill 43, because I really need the money.
Great American Wrestling returns to Foxville 43, August 29th at high noon.
What time is it?
Libra?
Wrong! It's time to ride the funk train. Toot toot! Baby at Great American Wrestling, Big Luke, Funkmaster V, the lovely women's behind me, and all the great wrestling, and all my wrestling buddies are going to be there. 8 p.m. Where is it? Fountain City Commons, Knoxville, Tennessee. Ooh, good Luke.
Great American Wrestling invades Knoxville. Bell time is 8. Be there.